This tool was designed in the 1940s for this job, and nothing else will do it quite like a Burke bar. For instance, I've got wire to cut here. Do I get out my pliers or my end nips, or do I take my Burke bar and cut the wire? I've got a template to pry off of a spreader. Do I get out a little crowbar or my hammer? Nope. I just put the nose out under there and it's off. And it's not only off here, but it's off down the line. Now maybe I forgot to pull a screw out of one of these spreaders. Do I go back for the screw gun? No. I pull the screw with the Burke bar. It's irresistible. I've got a stake right here with a nail in it. Do I pull my hammer out and pull that nail and then loosen up the stake? No. I take my Burke bar, pull the nail, and then loosen up the stake. Here's another template. It's got concrete on it. If that concrete was on a screw head, do I stop and get my hammer out or a scraper to take it off? No. I take my Burke bar and I scrape it, and then I pry it, and then I knock the spreader loose, and then I cut the wire, and it's out. This form's got to come off the edge of that footing. Now I can take a bar and a hammer and I can drive it down in there and I can bend over and do that. I mean, we've all done that for days and weeks and months and years, right? Or you just take the Burke bar, you spin it over, except you have to get it in the right spot. So what you give up with the Burke bar is it's heavy and you have to carry it around. But sometimes carrying it around is an advantage. You see that screw is still in that stake? Not for long. And it's all done with a minimum of bending over. Got a little concrete up around the bottom edge of that form. Now I could pry that straight out if I wanted, or I can just use it and break the concrete out with my bar. Do I own stock in Marshalltown or Burke or any of the other people that make these? No, but I sure like their tools. If you're a concrete guy, you've probably either A, already got 1 or 2 or 10 of these, or B, should. There's no reason for a concrete man not to have one of these in his truck. If I didn't have this in my truck this morning, if I would have shown up on the job and would have left this in the shop, this would have been a long, miserable day. As it is, it's just going to be a hard day and nothing long or miserable about it. So anytime a tool will make that kind of a tangible, measurable impact in your workflow, you really ought to have one. Now, I also happen to be a fan of it in general. Anytime any kind of work is going on, there's a good way to use it. But for this kind of a job, you got to think carefully about why in the world you wouldn't have one in every truck. So we get a lot of stuff in the mail. And about a month ago, kind of out of a clear blue sky, there had been one phone call from Marshalltown that said, "Hey, we like your channel, we're going to send you some Burke bars." Wow, okay. Because we knew that Marshalltown manufactured Burke bars. They manufacture everything else related to concrete. And no, they didn't give me any money for this. They didn't sponsor this. But they did send me a bunch of bars, and we'll be sending some of them out to you. I mean, they ought to be in your hands. But apparently Marshalltown has been experimenting with variations on a theme with Burke bar. And the first variation to talk about is this thing, the Big Bad Monster. And I can see that for the right man, in the right job, this would be exactly the right tool. Now, for me, on a job like this where everything's below my waist, and I think it's a little too heavy. Now, I might understand it better if I was a younger man and I still had all my strength, but I can see that the inertia that is included in that, I think that's probably 5/8 inch thick carbon steel, big, heavy, on the same length handle as the standard Burke bar, would add a lot of inertia for things like that. I mean, if it's a hammer you need, it's a hammer you've got. That's handy sometimes. I can see that this would be useful, you know, for scraping. If you got a bunch of saltillo tile in a remodel and you need some more mass, that's got it. I can also see that it would be fairly problematic to take this into a kitchen remodel and pull down cabinets. I mean, working up over your head with that is a bummer. So good job, guys. I mean, if nothing else, you're going to be making the biceps on the construction industry grow, and there's something to be said for that. So this is my go-to. This is my old friend. This is the size I like, and they sent me a few of these on the pallet. I didn't think I needed to bring those. I mean, we don't think much of new paint anyway, but this is for me and for this job and for today. This is the one that I've got with me all the time. But they also sent me a few of these, which is just like the little yellow one that Nate had in Arizona. It's a better size for a lot of people. It does about probably 70% of what I need to do on this job here today. It would ride around nicely in a crossbed toolbox, and it would be right at home in a kitchen remodel or something like that. So, I mean, you can work high, and it does a lot of things. I like it. The proportion's good. And then they've gone one step further with that, and I haven't even tried this yet, but they put that little 90-degree hook on there. Let's see if it'll pull this screw out of this spreader. It's pretty good. I mean, that's got the intuitive advantage of now there's an example of where the bigger bar would have already had that out. Let's see how this does. Yeah, that's okay. You know, I think Goldilocks would probably put these in a bear family context. For me, I mean, it's Mama Bear that does it. You can't beat that. But I can see that for a smaller person, a smaller bar is probably handy. Let's see if this works. It's already cut. Pretty good. Yeah, kind of. Better for kitchen remodels. Okay, you can work over your head. That's good. So, you know, kudos to Marshalltown for taking something that's good and trying to make it better. I'm not sure you hit it with that. They sent me another one in the Mama Bear size that's got a big plate fulcrum welded on there to increase your mechanical advantage in the first. Yeah, and that's good, but not for this. So, thanks for the bars, guys. We'll be giving some of them away on the channel probably. We're going to use some. Probably send one home with Leo. He seems to be getting used to it. Put it in his Christmas stocking maybe. But in the meantime, I got some forms to tear apart and some lines to snap, and this is the tool we're going to be using. So I really appreciate Marshalltown sending me these bars. I've got a pallet of them. I don't need a pallet of them. So we're going to try to find a way to get them out, to get them to some of you people who are making a living and, you know, fighting the good fight. Including here locally, I've given, I think, 4 away to some of my construction friends here in Roseburg, because whoever gets them, that's going to use them, are going to be darn glad to have them. So kudos to Marshalltown. I mean, it's nice to have something of value to be able to give to people when they need it, and that's what's going to happen with the lion's share of what you sent me on that pallet. Kudos to Marshalltown for innovating. I mean, it's too easy for tool manufacturers just to say, hey, I've got a great tool, and I'm just going to keep making that, and they can make do. But instead, I mean, Marshalltown just keeps thinking about how can we make life better for those blue-collar construction guys and millwrights and guys working in the oil patch, and any place that you got to fight leverage, and any place you need to actually move something, you really ought to have a Burke Bar. And so we've got a few from Marshalltown to send out. All right, let me get my head back into what I'm doing here. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I talk about this a lot, and I can't help it. You know, I mean, if it's annoying, I don't know what to tell you, but I use it all the time, and I'm always glad to have it. And in fact, it's one of my top 5 problem-solving tools. Got a video about that identifies this specifically as one of the things a man's just got to have. Thanks for watching. If you've been watching the channel any time at all, you know how much I think of a Burke Bar, of its versatility and utility, and darn it, you just got to have one. So here's something that Nate discovered down here and brought over for me to check out. Burke Bar Jr. And so when I picked this up, I've got to admit I had a smile on my face, or maybe kind of a sneer, I don't know. But, you know, just like a Harbor Freight anvil, it's not as bad as I thought. And I can see that there are some times when it, for a certain person in a certain application, it might be the tool to have. But having said that, it's this one first and this one second. And I guess there might be times, probably 10 years from now, when this would be the one I would be wanting, because this is heavy. So this is a useful tool, and it's called a Burke Bar Jr., but it's not a Burke Bar. The thing that makes a Burke Bar is the mass. It's also the thing that makes it intimidating, and frankly not the tool for everybody. But the inertia that's associated with this when you're using it as a battering ram or a bat, a sledgehammer, the length of the handle when you're reaching up high or scraping on a floor, make this a different tool, though similar, than this one. Perhaps this doesn't matter to you. Perhaps your niche in construction doesn't require heavy lifting or heavy demolition or a lot of really tough scraping. And if that's the case, this might be just the thing for you. But if you had to pick one, and you can pick it up and use it, this is the one to pick. If you can afford to pick 2, you're going to find times, I expect I'll find times eventually when this would be just right. So I'm thinking of this little Burke Bar Jr. in about the same way I'm thinking of this little shovel. It has its place. It's made for doing a man's work, but lighter work. There are times when a shovel like this are exactly what you need. And I'm sure there will be times when a bar like this is exactly what we need. But if I need to dig a hole, darn it, if I need to dig a hole or shovel a trailer on or off, I need a shovel. I need something that you can get 2 hands on that you can reach with and do a big day's work. And it's the same with this. I mean, so I guess the takeaway is, yeah, nice Christmas present, something you might be glad to have once in a while. Just don't think that it's going to duplicate the tried and true.